Hi, I'm Logan,
And I'm Georgia.
and we're here today to talk to you about the stories of Deep Cove through a historic walking tour.
At each marker, we've included a short story of the location and a question for you.
Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Please check out our Google map as well.
We look forward to hearing from you.
Hi, my name is Lucy. I'm standing outside of the Deep Cove Cultural Center on Gallant Street. The Deep Cove Cultural Center is my historical marker. It opened on March 31st, 1992, and has since become an essential place of Deep Cove heritage and culture. There are actually 4 different organizations that use this space. The Deep Cove Heritage Society, which was founded in 1986, uses this building to hold meetings and to hold their historical archives. Without their work, most of the history of Deep Cove would be lost. The Seymour Art Gallery uses the gallery space to hold art exhibitions and host art classes for kids in the community. The Seymour Art Gallery was founded in 1985. There are also 2 theater groups, the Deep Cove Stage Society, which was founded in 1974, and First Impressions Theater, which was founded in 1983, that use the Deep Cove Cultural Center's 130-seat theater to hold plays and concerts year-round. My question for you is there any other information about the Deep Cove Heritage Society that's important to include? Thank you so much for listening to my historical marker.
Hi, I'm Jessie, and I'm standing on the corner of Panorama and Gallant Avenue, where the Moore family home used to sit.
In Deep Cove's early days, the village served its purpose as a summer getaway and was virtually abandoned 6 months of the year, short of a few shopkeepers who kept their shops open year-round. Among the first permanent residents of Deep Cove were John and Rhonda Moore, who moved here in 1919 along with their 5 children. The family's first 5 years were spent living off the land, hunting, fishing, and berry picking. Later, John and Rhonda Moore, now with 9 children, began constructing their 14-room, 2-story home and general store, which took several years to complete. In 1927, the Moores opened their store for business on the corner of Burns Avenue and 2nd Street, known today as Panorama Drive and Gallant Avenue. From home to history, the site of the Moore family home is now occupied by the Deep Cove Cultural Center and Heritage Society, where visitors come to enjoy the art and stories of our Deep Cove community.
Hi, my name is Luca, and I'm looking down onto the Cove, on the street where the Deep Cove Marina and later the Sea Cove Marina was first stationed. When the quarry's lodge closed in 1942, Art George decided to focus on creating a water taxi business and developing a marina. First known as the Deep Cove Marina and later the Sea Cove Marina, Art George played an integral part in the accessibility of transportation in Deep Cove. Over the years, the Sea Cove Marina has been home to live-aboard boaters and has impacted the lives of many workers seeking transportation around the Indian Arm. Although he has since sold his marina, which continues to operate at this site, Art's legacy lives on, deeply embedded in the history of Deep Cove. My question for you is, what else do you know about Art George that I could add to my marker? Thanks for listening.
Hey, my name's Daniel, and I'm standing here in Deep Cove, overlooking my historical marker, the beautiful Indian Arm. Now today, the Arm to many of us is purely a tourist destination, attracting visitors from all across the Lower Mainland and beyond. However, the Indian Arm hasn't always been that way. In fact, as the 20th century rolled around, Indian Arm was home to many developments, such as those at Granite Falls with the likes of Coast Quarries Limited, and the 2 Bunsen Lake powerhouses located just 7 kilometers up the Arm. With all this influx and growth came a lot of new people to the area of Indian Arm and Deep Cove. My question to you guys now is, how many people rely on Indian Arm as a source of income today? Thanks for listening, guys.
Hi, my name is Marshall, and today I'm at the Deep Cove Yacht Club, which is my historical marker, and I'll be telling you a little bit about it. So the club started off in 1936 when some people wanted to come together and start a yacht club. They talked to the district, and the district decided to give them this piece of land right here. They got a pretty good location because right behind me is the ocean, which the dock is on right here, and right up ahead is Gallant Avenue, which really is the heart of the cove. As the club grew over the years, lots and lots of people joined, and it really started to fall into more of a community-serving role. Everything kind of came to a halt during World War II, where everyone had to do their part, including the club. So the club actually hosted Ladies Air Raid Patrol, Red Cross Auxiliary, and hosted first aid meetings. As the war came to a close though, the yacht club fell a little bit back into its place and started getting back into its groove. So they actually rebuilt the wharf after the war and it became a little bit bigger, hosted more boats, and it actually went from year-round mooring to just seasonal. As the club grew, they started hosting programs like sailing for kids and just community services, that kind of thing. People can rent out the yacht club, have parties here, and it's really just a great place for the Cove. It really contributes to the community. I think that looking back at the history, we can all agree that the yacht club really adds something to the Cove, and the Cove just wouldn't be the same without it. So as I leave you guys, I'm going to end off with one question, and that is, do you know of any stories or anything that's happened at the yacht club that I haven't covered over the years?
Hi, my name is Olivia. I'm here at the government dock where we've placed the historical marker Memories on the Water. Since the beginning of Deep Cove, the waterfront has played a key part in bringing tourists to the area. In the 1930s, the city of Vancouver hosted the Deep Cove Regattas, which were summer events, and they had competitions such as canoe jousting, motorized boat races, and diving competitions. It is recorded that over 5,000 people came from Vancouver on either boats or on the trails to these annual events. Lots of people swam in the bay, and you could rent boats and row around the different islands in the Arm. There used to be an older dock where there was a diving board and where you could refuel your boat. It has been, like the dock has been, and it still is, a key part of what makes Deep Cove special. Today, events like the Penguin Plunge foster community and bring back that spirit of the Deep Cove Regattas, and they bring lots of attention to our little community. And my question for you is, are there any other stories that you think I should include in this historical marker? Thank you for viewing and have a fantastic day.
For this stop, stand on the red brick pathway facing the ocean. To your right sits the Deep Cove Kayak Shop, and to your left sits the government dock. In late spring, families would disperse to set up canoes on virtually every beach and protected cove in the Tsleil-Waututh territory. This is a quote from Tsleil-Waututh Nation, people of the inlet, speaking about how Indigenous people would pack up planks of wood from their homes and travel to many beaches in the inlet, including the beach in front of you, and construct their summer home. From this home, they would fish and hunt and collect food for the winter. The beach in front of you was home to many generations of Indigenous people throughout many summers. Jumping to the 1920s, rental boat retail services in Deep Cove started with Corefield's dance hall, renting rowboats out of the bottom floor of the hall. Although the dance hall rented boats, it was known for its dances put on every Saturday evening. The dance hall possessed a magnificent hall floor, which brought many eager and rowdy dancers to the dances. For almost 20 years, the dance hall was the center of activity in Deep Cove. At one point, it gained quite a reputation. Mothers would not allow their daughters to go to that wild place. Excerpt from Echoes Across the Inlet, page 107. In the 1940s, the war struck, and the Corefields had to sell the hall. Though the hall had suffered, Pete Cowan was undeterred. Pete Cowan bought the land to the left of the dance hall. It would be to the left if you were standing on the brick path between the government dock and the Deep Cove Kayak Shop looking at the road. He turned the land into an exclusive boys' summer camp for boys from San Francisco. He built 12 cabins, which outlasted the camp by many years. The boys would spend long hours on and in the water, which made the camp quite popular. In the 1950s, John and Rita Thornley bought the cabins and turned it into the Deep Cove Motel. The cabins lasted until 1970s, when the district bought the land back, now called Deep Cove Park. To find Deep Cove Park, continue walking towards and in front of the Deep Cove Kayak Shop. On the opposite side of the kayak shop, you will find Deep Cove Park. In 1981, Ingrid Baxter was looking to buy a boat and instead found that the Watson boat rental business was for sale. Watson Boat Rental stood where the current kayak shop stands, and it came with a home in one of the exclusive boys' summer cabins, which stood just behind the shop to the right. Ingrid Baxter bought the kayak and canoe rental store and began to hire local residents to work at the shop. In 1986, the cabin Ingrid Baxter was living in was demolished, along with the boat rental shop. In 1989, the new and current kayak shop was finished. In 1997, marked the year Ingrid Baxter took on partners, one of them being her daughter, Ariane Baxter. Ariane and Bob Putnam then later became full owners of the kayak shop and turned it into the destination it is today.
Hi, my name is Alex, and today I'll be sharing with you a short history of Mount Seymour. Right now, I am standing near the Deep Cove kayak shop with a beautiful view of Mount Seymour. Seymour was originally a hunting ground for the Tsleil-Waututh Nation, but the mountain didn't have a recorded expedition by settlers until 1908. The alpine area that many locals know and love today didn't open until 1929, yet it closed during the Depression. The area reopened in 1939 when Harold Enquist bought the land and built a road halfway up the mountain. Enquist nurtured the mountain until 1951, when the permit of operations on the mountain expired. After that, the responsibilities were handed over to a concessionaire. The Wood family bought the mountain in 1984. They still run the mountain till this day, and Seymour is now the only family-run mountain on the North Shore. The Wood family also embraced snowboarding on the mountain when they purchased the land. In the early 80s, snowboarding was still in its infancy, and not many mountains wanted to have anything to do with the new sport. Plenty of famous photos have been taken at Mount Seymour's legendary backcountry area, and the mountain still holds a very special place in many snowboarders' hearts, despite having a smaller skiing area than most mountains in the area. Seymour is also home to a vast network of mountain biking-oriented trails, maintained by the North Shore Mountain Biking Association. Trails began popping up on Seymour as early as 1990, but were kept mostly secret as the trails were technically illegal at the time. Seymour is a contributing factor to why the North Shore Mountain Biking Association was created in 1997 in order to protect trails from demolition. Nowadays, Seymour is beloved by locals and visitors alike, whether it be for hiking, biking, skiing, snowboarding, tubing, or snowshoeing. Seymour has a place for everyone. Thanks for watching.
Hi, my name is Kai. I am standing in front of my historical marker, the Wigwam Inn. The Wigwam Inn is settled at the northern part of the Arm, Iron Bay. This hotel or inn is situated on the unceded land of the Tsleil-Waututh people. The inn was built by German financier Albo von Alvenspleen in 1909. Its identity has seesawed. At its onset, it was a first-rate hotel for the rich and famous. Later, it became a getaway for hippies and gangsters, and now in 1980, the Royal Vancouver Yacht Club purchased the inn, and now it is a getaway for them today. This timeline and large array of visitors has made it one of the most mysterious and intriguing spots to visit in the Cove. My question is, for you, I've done a lot of research, and for this legendary historical marker, it seems to veer from fact and fiction, and it's hard to tell what's true or not. Is it true that Al Capone really visited this place? Thanks, guys.
Hi, my name is Izzy Leonard, and I'm currently standing in Myrtle Park, the home to Mount Seymour Little League. This kids' baseball league was established in 1963 within a few years of other Little Leagues on the North Shore. The growth of this league was helped by developments in Myrtle Park in the early 1960s, which added backstops and dugouts. Before this construction, the park was a lot less popular among tourists and locals, as it was just grassy fields. Nowadays, the league has around 550 players, most of which live in the community. With multiple fields, a concession, a playground, and a dog park, everyone can be a part of the fun atmosphere. Kids start playing in the league around ages 4 to 5 and can play all the way up until they're 18. Mount Seymour Little League really adds so much to our community. I was wondering if you knew any significant events that have happened either in Myrtle Park or to the league itself that maybe they had to overcome. Thank you for listening to my story about Mount Seymour Little League.
Hello, my name is Lucas Coop. I am standing at the former site of the Strathcona Corner Store, which is also my historical marker. In the late 1920s, Jack and Christina Gillis purchased 4 lots on Harris Avenue for $20 each. In 1926, the Gillis homestead was built at 1207 Harris Avenue. After becoming quite successful during the summer seasons, selling bread and milk out of the front room of the homestead, Mrs. Gillis decided to start the Strathcona store across the street in 1936. The store was met with positive praise from the community, but it is also important to take into account that the land was used without permission from the local First Nations people. From 1956 to 1966, the store also housed the local post office. This was an important store in the community that helped aid its development. In 2005, the store was torn down. 2 houses have now been built on the 2 lots that were once home to the infamous store. My question for you is, do you think that taking down the corner store was met with positive or negative praise?
Hi, my name is Emily, and I'm standing at the Waterview Pathway at the 800 block of Beachview Drive. My historical marker is this spot on the stairs, which gained historical significance just weeks ago. Unfortunately, a young bear named Plum was shot after a call to a conservation officer deemed her a threat to public safety. Plum's case has sparked debate over the treatment of local wildlife, and many different perspectives have surfaced. In light of this, I want to share the story of North Vancouver's history with its animal population, hoping that education can help our community overcome bias and prevent incidents like this in the future. My narrative starts off after mentioning some of the wildlife we have here, with the pre-contact Tsleil-Waututh Nation. I touch upon the perspectives and beliefs they held, explaining how wildlife was valued and respected, with some creatures even believed to be the equals of humans. I also talk about how wildlife was highly valued for the necessary role it played in Tsleil-Waututh life, with deer and other animals being hunted for their meat, furs, organs, bones, and fat. From here, I transition into explaining the change which occurred with the arrival of settlers. I mention how the perspectives on wildlife shifted to focus heavily on its value as a resource with the introduction of trade and later industry, and how concerns of environmental respect and preservation became less prominent during this time. To juxtapose this, I then jump ahead to the 1900s, when unchecked industry spurred concern over sustainability. I outline how wildlife protection initiatives sprung up, such as the establishment of the Maplewood Flats Conservation Area in 1992. Finally, I bring all of these differing perspectives together to explain the situation in modern day. And I also note that a point of contention is the legal and illegal killing of animals. I talk about events such as the 2005 eagle slaughter and the euthanizations of predators such as Plum, then mention how some community members are upset over the low value placed on animal life, while others are overlooking these issues. When creating this narrative, I was able to conduct interviews with members of the North Shore Black Bear Society and the North Vancouver District, but did not find a contact who can help me understand the Tsleil-Waututh perspective. So, my question to you is, do you know of any Tsleil-Waututh sources that I can contact to help me evaluate the accuracy of my information and expand my historical perspective? Thank you for watching my video, and I hope to hear from you in the future.
Hi, my name is Jordan Eden, and I'm currently at Lowry Waterfront Park on Lowry Lane in Deep Cove, BC. The location I chose to research for my historical marker was the old Dollarton Mill. Now let me tell you a little bit about it. Over 70 years ago, on the very ground that I stand on right now, there stood a successful lumber mill called the Old Dollarton Mill. Owned by Captain Robert Dollar and his family, this lumber mill revolutionized the shipping industry in BC, as well as the geography and layout on the Cates Park, Roche Point, Dollarton side of Deep Cove. As well as the economy, the mill also established a very small town, strong sense of community that is still maintained today. The mill permanently closed on December 23, 1942, due to the death of Mr. Dollar and the threat of a world war. But Dollarton rose from the ashes of the mill's demise. It continued thriving, and to this day, businesses and establishments like Dollarton Shopping Centre, Sherwood Park Elementary, and Seymour Golf are still up and running, reminding us of the legacy the mill left behind. Now I have a question for you, one that I came across when I was researching and filming my video. At first I thought the burner base at Little Cates Park was part of Old Dollar Mill, but I quickly realized that it was not. So I was wondering if you have any more information about the relationship between Old Dollar Mill and the Cedarside burner at Little Cates. Thank you so much for listening to my historical marker pitch, and I hope you enjoy the others. Bye!
Hello,
My name is Logan Underwood, and I am standing beside the last remains of the Vancouver Cedarside sawmill. The burner base was once a mill whose parent company was based in False Creek. It is one of the last remnants of a once thriving logging industry. Successful logging entrepreneurs like Robert Dollar and Fred Buck had a profound impact on the Deep Cove community. Their companies, the Canadian Robert Dollar Company and the Deep Cove Lumber Company, had a lasting impact on the Cove. The road that the Deep Cove Logging Company built to reach remote logging on the slopes of Mount Seymour still exists as the Old Buck Trail today, whereas the Robert Dollar Company helped shape the development of the Dollarton neighborhood. The Deep Cove Lumber Company was decimated by the 1922 fire that burned enormous amounts of timber. Meanwhile, the Canadian Robert Dollar Company discontinued operations in 1942. The companies haven't been in operation in over 60 years, but their legacy remains in how they shaped the young Deep Cove settlement. Both of these businesses attracted a broad range of settlers looking for an opportunity at a job in logging. The economic boost that these companies and their workers provided gave stability to an otherwise undeveloped area. Increased population led to this increased development. As time passed, the logging industry has become a forgotten relic. As a visitor or a resident, it is important to remember the successes of the logging industry.
Go up the path and look for the totem pole. Next to the totem pole, there lies the war canoe. Now look to the ocean and imagine 15 people paddling in perfect timing up the arm. Originally, the Coast Salish people used war canoes to take people and supplies up the arm. Young men also carved out sleeker versions to use in races. The Tsleil-Waututh have a long history of success in war canoe races. The Tsleil-Waututh Wolves won the Golden Jubilee International Indian War Canoe Championships in 1936, which cemented the team's reputation as one of the best in the province and the nation. One of the most famous members of the Tsleil-Waututh Nation, Chief Dan George, was a veteran canoe racer who competed with members of his family on several teams. In 1960, George lobbied the highway minister to sponsor a canoe race at the opening celebration of the Second Narrows Bridge. He hoped to compete in a single canoe he carved out of a cedar tree. George is famous for his performance in the 1970 film Little Big Man, which earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. In 2010, the canoes were carrying the Olympic torch as part of the torch relay in one of the most spectacular legs of the relay. I can still remember it even though I was only 6 years old. Going down to the Weyawichin, which means facing the wind park, to watch the canoes paddle in. And today, the Tsleil-Waututh Nation holds annual canoe races in July to celebrate their proud history. It is incredible to watch teams of 15 athletes of all ages racing 200, 500, and 1,000 meters. The race is followed by another Coast Salish people's tradition of salmon barbecue.
Hi, my name's Luca and I'm at Big Kate's on the end of the dock, and I'm here because my marker is about the squatters that lived along the shoreline. I wanted the marker to be here because you can look towards that direction all the way along to there and see the coastline from the Maplewood Mudflats to here, which are where the majority of the squatters lived. So I wanted to focus on this topic because out of all people I've talked to, not most Cove locals know the squatters were a thing, and it's a major part of the Cove's history. They were a big community of artists, hippies, displaced loggers who worked at the mills in Little Kate's, and all this people that I found very, very interesting, including Malcolm Lowry's story. When he lived here towards Little Kate's, as you guys know, I tell his story and everything. So my question for you guys is, are there any interesting stories about individuals besides Malcolm Lowry's of squatters living here? Because I could find basic overall facts about some individuals that lived in squatter homes, but no in-depth stories like Malcolm's. So if you guys know anything, please let me know. That would be awesome. And thank you for listening.
Hi, my name's Izzy. I'm standing at the place where the Cummins store used to stand, which is now the Kate's Park tennis courts. My historical marker is a resemblance of the beginning of a community and a way of life, from the Gallant Avenue residents canoeing over here to buy groceries, to the squatters in the area collecting water from the store's tap, all the way over to the building of the Dollarton Highway. Percy Cummins and his legacy is one that should be remembered throughout Deep Cove's future. My question to you is if you have any extra information on Percy Cummins, his family, anything about the early days of Kate's Park, anything is appreciated. Thank you so much for listening.
Hi, my name is Tamara, and I'm currently standing on the corner of Mount Seymour Parkway and Dollarton Highway, outside of Central Motors Auto Shop. My historical marker is called Our Main Roads, and will tell the story of the Parkway and Deep Cove Road and the stores that have lined its streets for many, many years. This land was originally used by the Moore family to run a grocery store once they lost their first one in the late 1920s. They bought the land for $50 a lot and built a new store and house that had 5 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and no running water. The land later became the Amble Inn in 1946, owned by Gus Murray. By 1968, they added an addition and living quarters that were added to the building, and Gus opened the original auto shop. The inn was sold in the 1970s and was renamed to the Spanish Inn. It became the Raven Pub in 1979 and is still a common meeting place for locals today to grab a drink, listen to music, and spend time with friends. My question for you today is there more information on the second Moore shop that I could find to enhance my storytelling? Thanks for listening. Have a great day.
I'm standing in front of Cove Secondary School. Cove Secondary School was a community effort from parents, teachers, and volunteers throughout many years of planning. When it was finally opened in 1979 for grades 7 to 9, Cove was the only community school in the district, meaning it was a combination of community center and school under the same roof, working in tandem to provide resources and activities for both the neighborhood and the students. Cove has played a big part in its community by hosting many organizations within the community wing of the school, which is now the counseling area and part of the library. It was home to the District of North Vancouver Public Library, the Deep Cove Heritage Society, the Seymour Art Gallery, as well as an information center. The school was always full of people from the surrounding neighborhoods using the many programs offered day and night. In 1983, the Deep Cove Dollarton Community Program Society officially registered as a nonprofit and began operating out of the school. In 2004, the society became the Parkgate Community Service Society. Today, the school has grown quite a bit since its modest beginning with 509 students, although still small compared to its neighboring high schools. Many of Cove students are international students, something the school has become known for. Over the years, the Cove has had an award-winning music program, many successful sports team, and is also one of the few schools to still have a darkroom for photography. Though the community school designation ended in 1993, the school still remains very important to the Deep Cove community. You can see this when you look at the number of community scholarships offered to Cove graduates. This is because of the close relationship the school has with the community. My question for you, the Deep Cove Heritage Society, is what was your experience like when you operated out of Cove? Thanks, bye.
Hi, my name is Georgia, and I'm standing here on Gallant Avenue near Honey's Donuts, where my historical marker, Business in the Cove, is located. Business in Deep Cove has always been a cornerstone of the community, beginning back in 1927 when the Moore family opened their general store. Over the next 50 years, business in Deep Cove grew, but being in a remote location and many businesses having connections elsewhere, support for smaller businesses waned. That was until 1974 when the Savory restaurant was established, its advertising bringing many new customers to the Cove. Then Honey's Donuts was opened in 1996, quickly becoming a crowd favorite and putting Deep Cove on the map. Deep Cove residents are very thankful for the local businesses of the Cove who serve them and maintain the welcoming village atmosphere that Deep Cove is known for. My question for you is there a Deep Cove business that hasn't been included in the marker that you think should be? Thank you for listening.
Hi, I'm Jamie Ball, and I'm outside the Deep Cove Marina. This is where my historical marker, Corey's Lodge, would have been back in the 30s. Corey's Lodge was a guest and cookhouse which was built out of an old mining facility called Granite Quarries Limited that used to run out from underneath Corey's Rock. My question for you is, what do you think the biggest impact the lodge had on the community? Thank you for listening.
Thanks for watching.